General Motors claims that they are the world's leading electric vehicle manufacturer. Now, apparently, Chevy dealers are gearing up to beat Tesla with electric trucks and SUVs. Can they do it? Well, here is what they're planning to do. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Electric Viking. My name is Sam Evans. Great to have you here on the channel. Welcome to your new subscribers. Welcome back, everyone else. I'll put a link in the description below to my Patreon account for the channel. If you want to support the channel there, that would be great. Also, I'll put a link in the description below to Stake. Now, if you want to purchase stocks in electric vehicle companies, you can do that with Stake. I personally use Stake for all my stock purchases. It's basically free to trade using the app. I'll put a promotion code in there where if you actually create an account with Stake, you'll get a free stock. The chairman of the Chevy National Dealer Council backs GM's plan to meet demand and surpass Tesla on EVs. Are they getting high on their own supply, or is this actually possible? Stephen Loveday says for Inside EVs that General Motors has been touting its future EV efforts for years. Yeah, they have. And more recently, CEO Mary Barra has talked about the automaker's plans to overtake Tesla as the US EV leader. Now, Ford has made the same claims within the last few days. I'll put a link in the description below to the video I made about Ford's plans to defeat Tesla. GM doesn't have a whole lot to show related to those plans on how exactly they're going to go about beating Tesla quite yet. But it has announced major efforts that are already underway, which will boost its EV output significantly in the coming years, which is good to see. That said, it doesn't matter how many EVs GM, or any company for that matter, can produce unless it can actually sell them. In order for the automaker to sell plenty of electric cars, it will have to make sure its dealers are on board, that they're not trying to scam their customers, and they might need to switch to some form of online sales or direct sales model. I think potentially that has to happen, because really, will dealers just stop doing what they've been doing for the last 50 years, which is selling cars which have higher demand above the MSRP? I don't see that changing, to be honest. I mean, it's not General Motors just doing this. It's other dealers. Kia does it. Ford does it. Mercedes does it. Dodge does it. It's just kind of an American thing to do this, isn't it? An American dealership thing. But if their competition are selling vehicles online, Rivian and Tesla, where you just pay the price and you don't have to negotiate and haggle and wonder if you got scammed or wonder if you got a good deal, then I think that it will be potentially hard to compete with that model unless you offer the same sort of service. Now, apparently Chevy dealers are ready to roll, they say. Anyway, according to Automotive News, dealer chairman of the Chevy National Dealer Council, Keith McCluskey, said the following: "We want to beat Tesla on EVs. We want to meet demand." Well, want is one thing, doing is another. McCluskey is encouraging General Motors to stick to its plans, producing enough electric vehicles for dealers to sell and meet that demand, or at least hopefully more than the 26 they delivered in the entire fourth quarter of 2021. Dealers can't be successful in selling EVs, and GM can't beat Tesla if it does not manufacture enough electric cars, which it's still not doing now, as its main EV factory in the US is still locked up. The dealer chairman said the following: "It's nice to have the backing of General Motors and knowing that they're making those types of investments to create big volume. There's a lot of us dealers out there. And if we're going to maximize our success, we need them to build enough product that we can be number one. You can't be the number one if you don't produce enough." Now, as many people in the EV community have pointed out many times, the whole beat concept really doesn't matter at this point. I agree. I don't know why Ford and GM are so focused on beating Tesla. Maybe they should just focus on beating each other first, and then one day they can aim to beat Tesla maybe. But I think realistically, this obsession with beating Tesla is probably just a little bit silly. It's not about beating one another, but just about companies actually producing EVs to the best of their abilities and ramping up production in order to take on China, because that is where the biggest threat will come from. Tesla and China over the next decade. We can talk about competing and beating one another once new models come to market. EV production is up to speed and people are taking deliveries in large numbers. Now, GM is banking on a long list of pre-orders for its upcoming electric vehicles, such as the Silverado EV, and GM says that more than 100,000 people have already placed a reservation for their electric pickup truck that's expected to go on sale as a 2024 model in 2023. And frankly, the Silverado EV is a very impressive vehicle. That won't be a challenge. Getting orders is clearly not a challenge. They've got more than 100,000 pre-orders. It's awesome. The challenge here will be for GM actually making enough to meet demand. And I don't think they'll be able to do that for at least 5 years. Chevrolet is also seeing plenty of interest in its future Blazer and Equinox electric vehicle crossovers. GM says the Equinox will come at a base price of $30,000 US. And they're putting an emphasis on producing affordable EVs. That will be accessible to all consumers, not just wealthy consumers. GM's current goal is to offer 30 new electric vehicles across the globe by 2025. In my opinion, 30 is ridiculous and unnecessary and simply going to add excessive cost. I think that 10 would be enough. 15, yeah, that's more than enough. That's great. 30 sounds like a legacy auto game plan that needs to change in order to, well, compete against Tesla, for example. The company says it will produce as many as 600,000 electric pickup trucks a year at 2 locations in Michigan. In addition, it's working on transitioning its Orion assembly plant into a battery factory. Now, McCluskey went on to say that he believes the sale of 600,000 electric pickup trucks per year is realistic. He also added that the addition of more affordable, high-volume electric SUVs such as the Chevy Equinox EV will be integral to GM's plans to succeed in this segment. And I agree, they need affordable EVs. How they're going to make them though, I personally don't know. I personally don't understand how GM can make a profit from a $30,000 Equinox EV built in America using Ultium battery cells, which, to be honest, are not cheap to manufacture in comparison to competitors such as CATL, who are mass producing LFP batteries at probably half the price or less. That said, if GM can pull this off, if they can build a Chevy Equinox EV and sell it for $30,000 US and make, say, a 10% profit, that would be a huge achievement. Now, when we find out how they actually plan to do that, well, then we'll be able to know whether or not they can achieve it. But right now, it's just words, to be fair. Mary Barra said it's going to happen. Whether or not it can happen is another story entirely. That said, automakers do believe batteries will come down in price by about 40% over the next 5 years, and energy density apparently will double during that time frame. If that happens, then yes, a $30,000 US electric SUV is definitely not just possible, but it's very likely. Now, personally, I think we need GM and Ford to succeed. So hopefully GM are listening to the dealers and realizing that dealers are basically saying, hey, yeah, this is our way of telling you that we are getting people coming into our dealerships wanting electric cars. We don't have any right now. You're not producing any. Get your act together. It's like they're publicly saying, get your act together because you're not listening to us. So we're going to go to the media and tell the media, you need to start building EVs quicker. Hurry up. Quicken this process up because Tesla, their lead is, if anything, it's growing. And frankly, to be honest, right now, GM is not producing enough electric vehicles. Nowhere near. I mean, it's not producing even 1/100th of the demand out there in the US alone. So let's hope that this year GM gets its shit together and starts really ramping up production of EVs. Otherwise, if they don't, then they'll fall behind. And this whole idea of beating Tesla in 2025 will be just some sort of ridiculous pipe dream myth, not even remotely a reality. But by the end of this year, we should be able to see whether or not this idea of beating Tesla is actually possible. And I'll make another video on that in a few months' time, based on what I'm seeing coming from GM, to let you know whether or not I think it's possible. That said, I have actually invested in General Motors. Probably sounds crazy. The reason being right now the stock is so low. It is just, I mean, it's one of the lowest stocks in terms of value. The price based on the earnings of the company is staggeringly low, and I just think that there's no possible way for it to fall down any further unless it actually went bankrupt. But who knows? I could be wrong on that. Let me know in the description below what you think of GM, how they're going to go over the next few years. I've got to say, I am very encouraged by one key thing. That is their battery plans for the future. Although I think that they definitely need more battery suppliers than what they currently have. They need to not focus on having just one supply. They need multiple supply chains for their batteries. But I'm also very, very pleased in looking at the details of the EV, the Chevy Silverado. That thing is phenomenal. They've gone to a lot of effort to make that. I believe possibly the best electric pickup truck that will be available. Definitely better than the Ford F-150, but that's just my take. Let me know in the description below what you think. Have a great day, and I'll see you again on the next video. Bye-bye.